Hello everyone, Rascal Entertainment's here.
And Mama Entertainments. Welcome to our podcast.
Today we're doing a very special podcast, a well-deserved tribute to the Bright Knight himself, Adam West.
Not too long ago, we read that Adam West was not mentioned during the Memoriam segment of the Oscars. So today we're going to celebrate his legacy by discussing what we loved about him, the Batman 66 series, and his many voiceover roles in animation.
It's still hard to believe that he's gone. We thought he would be like Stan Lee and live forever.
Right. And especially when you not only love the work that the person does, but just how they were as an individual and what they contributed to society on whole, it's like losing someone that you personally knew, even though you've never, we never got the benefit of meeting him. But it's almost like you've lost someone that you knew. You lost a member of your family.
Right. And what's really strange is that after he passed away, it's almost like no one remembered who he was. They still have the artwork of him, and they still remember the roles and stuff, but it's like when you post things that you talk about, no one wants to talk about. I mean, I know it's hard, but you can't forget him like that. I don't know, maybe it hurts that much where they just don't want to acknowledge it because look how much he's inspired and touched people from the time before he was even Batman, to the other things he was in, to the voice acting roles, to comedy and interviews and stuff. You were with the Batman.
Right, definitely. Maybe it's kind of like for some people, like you're losing that favorite uncle or someone that you really, really looked up to who made a difference in your life. And I think for Adam West, for many generations, this is what he did. I remember I watched a biography on him on Netflix, and it talked about his life from, of course, his birth and from the time he was doing acting prior to being on Batman 66 and from that time on. And what impressed me so about it was he was at these Comic-Cons, and there were people of all ages, especially ones that were children when the show came on. And these people were telling him, you made such a difference in my life, or I became the person I am because of you, or I became a police officer because of you, or all my values and things that I have is because of you, and I love you. And he was just he said, no matter how many times he would hear it from people, he was still amazed that he had this impact, and he did. And again, generations, I mean, my generation, which is after he was on TV, your generation, which is long after he was on TV, and generations forward, because they're still showing these shows on the retro networks or the classic networks. And yeah, maybe that's what's happening to a lot of people. They just kind of don't want to be reminded that he's no longer here.
And it's a shame because, like I said, he's had such a lot of great roles, especially in voiceover. When he stopped doing live action roles and kind of every once in a while made an appearance because it's Adam West, he would do a ton of voiceover roles. And to me, it was like with Tom Kenny, I kind of grew up hearing him in a lot of cartoons. They would save him special. He would be in a very special episode. Or like on the Fairly Odd Parents or The Simpsons or Family Guy, he would play himself and he was just insane. Fairly Odd Parents, he was delusional and he thought he was Catman. And Catman goes night-night when Catman pleases. And they said, time to go night-night, Mr. West. And they thought he lost his mind. And every time he just got worse and worse as the show went on. He thought he was part cat. And Timmy kept bailing him out of jail because he kept getting in trouble. He said, you're an actor, not a cat.
I think that's what made his performances so great. He was able to laugh at himself. He was able to take joy in his performances no matter what he did. He didn't take himself too seriously. And you loved the fact that he was laughing at himself and you were laughing with him, not at him. And you loved, as you say, you loved those moments when he would make special appearances. I know we were always hoping we would see a superhero show, or we see an animated series, and the one thing that you and I always were going, I hope Adam West is on here. I hope Adam West was on here. And we would be ecstatic whenever we would hear him. And he made an appearance. But again, that's what made his work so special, is that he took it all in stride. And there are a lot of actors, especially older actors, during our Nana's time, that were upset when they were like classically trained actors and they didn't make it in the genre they wanted to, and they ended up doing something else, and they always had this bitterness about the path they ended up taking, and they didn't appreciate their fans, or they would say, well, that's not what I wanted to do.
Because it wasn't a theater.
This is what I wanted to do. And they always had this attitude of the fans being beneath them and arrogance. But never one time did Adam West exhibit this. I mean, no matter what happened. And go ahead and say something else, and I kind of want to just tell a little background about him and some things that we saw him in really, really old shows that came on TV. He had a life before Batman.
Right.
But Batman made Adam West.
Right. Well, for other roles besides parents, I don't watch Family Guy, but I do know he was the mayor on there, and Lois's uncle, he was Mayor West,
right.
And he would always cause trouble. He was crazy on there too. He always plays someone just insane, and they always save him up for superhero roles.
That's right.
Just like with Penn Zero, and they went to the superhero world, and he was Captain Super Captain. I'm not saying it like that. Okay.
So let's just tell a little bit of background if you don't know that much about him. He was 88 when he died, and he had appeared in a lot of shows during the late 50s and early 60s. And we've had the benefit of seeing some of this stuff. Our Nana watches a lot of classic TV, and we were amazed to see him on shows like Petticoat Junction. We saw him on The Rifleman. We saw him on just in roles that we were like, wow, that's Adam West. Oh my gosh, that's Adam West.
Right.
And he was well trained, a very handsome man, and that would seem to be the path he was taking of being a serious actor. Then along comes his role on Batman. He needed the work and he took it, not knowing just how much it would change his life and how it would leave a legacy not only while he was living, but now that he's gone. Also, we need to mention Burt Ward. Of
course.
Burt Ward is also awesome and amazing. The dynamic duo.
We're on our way to the bathroom also.
And we really, really hope, and I just want to say this quickly, we really hope that people pay him homage as well as Julie Newmar.
Right.
Before they're gone. Don't wait until they're gone.
Yes, because I think he and who else was left?
Julie Newmar.
Yeah, they're the only ones left from the original series, and I think if they had acted sooner on doing animated Batman 66 movies like you were saying, if they had acted sooner, we could have had a whole series of animated movies before his passing, but now unfortunately they only got to do 2.
Right.
They could still do something with, maybe do a Wonder Woman animated movie that have all the people that played these characters in the past and have them redo it in animated form in movies, but still, they missed out on an opportunity to do way more with that concept.
Definitely. And as we were saying before, that just gave him a legacy. And he was loved by so many different generations of people. And that love comes across in all of these people who looked up to him, you know, from the 60s as children, the 70s as children, the 80s as children, the 90s as children, the 2000s as children, the 20-teens. In every decade, this man has, you know, millions of people who love him. So I guess, you know, I wanted to go kind of down memory lane, but you seem really excited to talk about his role.
I understand.
So let's go ahead and do that because he appeared in so many. You mentioned a couple. Fairly Odd Parents.
Right.
And of course, one of my favorites is on Johnny Bravo playing himself.
Oh, yeah.
And he's still a delusional actor.
Yeah. He thinks that all the stuff he does on TV applies to real life, and he just sends Johnny on a wild goose chase. If you have not seen the episode, I recommend watching it either on YouTube or getting a DVD and watch it. It's one of the best episodes of the series.
Right. And then, also, I liked one of the appearances he did in Batman Beyond as the Grey Ghost. And I was so shocked when I found out that was Adam West. I didn't know that was what he was doing. I was like, oh my God. Yeah, it was just so awesome. Right. The way they would put him into roles because of their love for him. They always found a way to incorporate Adam West or the Batman into these shows.
Right. And what I love about this one, it was one of the few roles that he wasn't a goofball. He was taken more seriously. And in this version, the Grey Ghost was the inspiration for Bruce Wayne to become Batman. And Batman was telling Adam West he inspired him, got his autograph, and it's something like, oh my God, it was like the ultimate tribute of the time. Batman thanking Adam West.
That was awesome. And then another favorite was when he appeared on, make sure I got it right, did he appear on? No, they had Batman Beyond with several Batmans, but he didn't. Besides being Grey Ghost, that was it.
Yeah, that was it.
Right.
He was in The Batman. He played the mayor for a while.
Yes, that's right.
And he was in Brave and the Bold playing Mr. Wayne for a little bit. It wasn't big, but when they had flashbacks, he did the voice.
And he was in Meet the Robinsons.
Yes, as the pizza delivery guy from space.
Right.
And
The Simpsons. Who can forget the Simpsons?
Yeah.
Where he does the Batman.
What?
Kids, Batman!
Dad, that's not the real Batman.
Of course I'm Batman. See, here's a picture of me with Robin.
Who the hell's Robin?
Oh, I guess you're only familiar with the new Batman movies. Michelle Pfeiffer. Ha. The only true Catwoman is Julie Newmar, Lee Merriweather, or Eartha Kitt. And I didn't need molded plastic to improve my physique. Pure West.
Why doesn't Batman dance anymore? Remember the Bat-Tootsie, the kids back away from him. And one of my favorite lines from the Mr. Cloud episode, when Barney already cleaned up his driveway, and Homer said, Mr. West, how come you didn't call me to plow your driveway? He said, I did call you 45 minutes ago. And then just the camera change and the tone, you're like, dang, you took that seriously. And another favorite is when he was like Impossible.
Yes.
And they had two Batmans on there. They had Adam West and Wilfredo from, of course, Batman Beyond.
Awesome.
And he was Batman again, the Fearless Ferret.
Right.
And he got to train Ron to be the next Fearless Ferret and take down. And he thought that the show was real. He thought his nemesis thought he was real too. So he was training him to take him on. And it was in reference to Batman Beyond, where Bruce Wayne trained him, which he was in, to become the next Batman. So it was just a bunch of homages to Batman in there, and just having Ron being trained by Adam West is just brilliant.
Yes,
and he's
was.
still cuckoo.
But one of his last appearances he made was not in an animated series. It was in this show that's now been canceled.
Yeah.
Called Powerless. And we watched the first few episodes. The first episode was awesome because they had this intro that was kind of like it was a throwback and an homage to the classic comic books, and you saw all these superheroes that appeared in there, and Adam West was doing the narration for the introduction.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious! Like, oh my God!
Behind every cape is a baffled bystander. Where there's a villainous laser, there's a cowering commuter. With every super battle above, there's a super scared civilian below. How in a world of day-to-day danger can hapless humans hang on?
And this place is inhabited by all these superheroes, and the people there are just so jaded by it because they see all these superhero acts every day. It means nothing. And from what we understand, we kept saying, well, they should have Adam West on the show.
Yeah.
And from what we understand, he was supposed to appear on the show. And he made an episode, but they canceled the series, and they did not have the respect to put that episode on TV.
Yeah. All they did, and I saw it online, actually said they didn't know when it got canceled, whatever episodes were left were pulled. But when he passed away, they aired the episode a little bit and then pulled it back that he guest starred in, and he was helping whoever was in charge of this Wayne company, who played by Alan Tudyk, and he was helping him for a little bit, and then that was it. And they didn't show the episode again. I've been looking for that, and I can't find it.
I really want to see that. And then his last two appearances in animation were the revival of Batman 66
Yes.
as an animated series.
Right.
The first disc was called...
That was Return of the Cape Crusaders.
And that had Julie Newmar, Burt Ward, and Adam West all reprising their famous roles. And they had some really good sound-alikes doing the other villains.
Yeah.
And then the second version...
was Batman versus Two-Face, which was
Right.
his final role.
Right, and it had William Shatner, another living legend, who appeared as the voice of Two-Face. And this was great. And if they had done this sooner, we would have had, as you said, a whole series of these.
Mm-hmm.
The first disc was awesome. It was incredible. We enjoyed it from beginning to end. And then they even had special features where Burt Ward and Adam West, talk about their appearances, talk about their life on Batman 66. It was great. It was one of the greatest things ever done in animation. And in the second one, unfortunately, you could hear that he was very ill, but you didn't care. All
Right.
you cared is that he was doing the role,
Yeah,
and he was still
doing the
here,
best.
and it just didn't matter.
Right. And I didn't even realize until you told me that, yeah, he wasn't doing all his voice inflections that
Right.
he does. He sounded the same whether he was Bruce Wayne or Batman.
Right.
But he did have one line I loved when he said Robin sneaked down. He said, "The arrogance of youth." I was like, what the heck was that? But yeah, understandably, you knew why he couldn't do all the
Right.
inflections. But it was still great having him on there, and he was doing the best he could in doing the role.
And you didn't care. I mean, you just don't care. As long as they're still here, you don't care. And you said something I think that is really important in talking about Adam West. You were saying about his inflections and things. Some people think, and we'll say critics, that made him a joke on Batman 66, but it was the brilliance of his acting. No other actor, I think, would have put that spin on portraying this character this way, and he even said he wanted to do a different way. He wanted to be kind of tongue-in-cheek,
Right.
while at the same time being respectful to the character itself, and he did it. The way he delivered the lines, and the lines that Burt Ward as Robin had, and the way he would make it sound serious, yet you knew he was putting a spin on it.
Right.
But you loved it. You loved it. I mean, 30, 40, 50 years later, people are still loving this show.
Right.
And he had this way of delivering lines that was different from everyone else. And we've heard, I think it's Jeff Glenn Bennett doing imitation on him. And we
Yeah.
love Jeff Glenn Bennett, but he can't imitate Adam West. No one can do Adam West like Adam West.
Right.
And that was his trademark as far as his acting when it came to any of those animated roles. It was his stamp.
Mm-hmm.
That was his stamp. And, that combined with his I think he had a tenor voice, his very recognizable, distinctive tenor voice. And again, his love of making fun of himself and being in on the joke, but loving his work and loving his fans. That is what made him such a well-beloved legend. That's what made Adam West. There's
Right.
not going to ever be another Adam West.
Right.
And I don't think that these shows are going to even attempt to use sound-alikes to do him anymore. I think, unfortunately, his era's ended.
So far, the only show that still tries is Fairly Odd Parents, and they've kind of, unfortunately, as you know, the quality of the show has gone down a little bit, and unfortunately, they did the same to Catman. They didn't have him anymore. Maybe at the time he was unable to do the voice because he was doing the Batman movies, and they had Jeff Bennett. He did sound like him, but you could tell there was something with the voice that wasn't him. And now they got Catman just a lunatic, and it wasn't even funny. It was just weird. It wasn't endearing anymore because he wasn't doing the voice, and it wasn't written the same, where it was just laugh out loud and you just loved hearing him and seeing him. But yeah, he just does so many roles. You just love when he's on there. You love when he appears. And if they have a superhero homage, you gotta have Adam West. Someone's gotta have Adam West in there. And three more roles I want to mention really quickly because I know there are way more things besides animation he was in. He was in Chicken Little.
Yes.
At the end, he played Chicken Little as a buff space explorer when they messed up his story, and for some reason Adam West was doing his voice. He was in Scooby-Doo.
Yes.
He was Daphne's uncle who owned a beach resort and was judgmental on Fred. And the last one one would be in the Lego Batman video game, the third one. Apparently, he's a bonus
awesome was
feature.
that?
Yeah, he got to voice himself, and he got his 66 outfit.
Right.
And it was actually, I had played the game. I didn't even know he was in the game until I played it, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, can someone help me? I was like, wait a minute, is that Adam
like,
West?
wow, come here, Mom.
Yeah, and it said, this is TV's Adam West. I need your help. Can someone get me out of this? And that was the goal. If you found Adam West in every level, you could unlock him and all of his cosmo stuff. You could get the old themes. You got all this stuff from him, and you would have to go back to certain levels and find him, and he was hidden. He would keep talking to you, so you would find him, and it was hilarious. It's like, why is Adam West in the game?
And as you said, yes. Just every role that he was in animated, we loved. I mean, we loved every single role. There's not one role we didn't love. But I just briefly want to say that his entire career, not just in animation, but in acting, on television and movies, spanned from 1954 to 2017. That is a long period of time.
Yeah.
He not only appeared in films, and some of them, of course, most of them obviously started back in 1957, and they're probably films that your grandparents know. I'm not familiar with any of them. The first television role that he had that became a permanent role for him was in Batman 66. But he's just done so many animated roles. We kind of want to go through a few quickly. You probably are familiar with as many or more than we are. So let's just go over a few, mentioning them, and you take it because you're much better at this.
Like for more animated roles, or
yes, more animated roles.
Okay, for the silent ones we mentioned, there was still a lot more.
He was also on The Critic, which I used to watch, and he was himself on The Critic as well, and that's one you would know about.
Okay, he was on the Rugrats as Captain Blasto.
Yes,
I was like, what? How many superheroes you gonna play?
And Animaniacs.
Yeah,
we saw him
Bruce
do,
Wayne,
yes,
and the King
awesome.
Crusader when they had the chicken pretend to be Burt Ward's Robin, and he was doing his own voice. It was like, and he got mad when it wasn't actually Robin. He kicked the chicken.
Right. Did you mention him as the mayor on Family Guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was in SpongeBob. He was Young Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy.
Oh,
now,
yes.
imagine that.
Awesome.
Imagine Tom Kenny. The look on Tom Kenny's face. He got to voice over with Adam West, Burt Ward, Tim Conway,
and Ernest Borgnine.
Yeah, he got to voice with four legends at once. That must have been like a field day for that man.
I probably would have slept for 3 days. I would have been up just excited and amazed. Just think of the writers of SpongeBob. I mean, kudos to them for taking these people and putting them in these key roles that have also become beloved characters.
Right.
I mean, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy were beloved. Unfortunately, Ernest Borgnine died some years ago, but the minute they came on the scene, we love those characters, and we look forward to seeing them. And just the brilliance of having them go back in time and having the original dynamic duo be their younger voices.
Right.
How freaking creative and awesome was that?
Yeah, I absolutely love that.
That was just amazing. So, you have to love SpongeBob's creators and writers for just involving them in this. And now, Tim Conway is still here.
Yeah.
And so is Burt Ward. But after all of them are gone and SpongeBob is still going, decades from now, this show's not going to go away.
Yeah.
And they're going to be still impressioning young children, and young children learning who they are and hearing their voices. And they're going to go on. And it's just an awesome, amazing thing that they put them in there for a legacy.
Right.
I mean, how awesome is that?
And another great, one of the last live action appearances was he was on The Big Bang Theory.
I was going to mention that. You took it from me!
Oh,
yes.
You want to go ahead?
Yes.
Okay, because I did all the
Sheldon, how Sheldon has his little quirks and his paranoias. And they went to pick up Batman from the airport because he and also Will Wheaton, who was on Star Trek The Next Generation as Wesley Crusher, both of them were going to be at Sheldon's birthday party. And it was hilarious because Adam West was on there and he was just kind of like, this is appearance, I gotta go. And he was unfazed, and so was Sheldon was unfazed. And it was hilarious, the ride in the car. Oh my gosh, this is one of the best scenes on television. I know you want to tell this, so go ahead and tell it.
Oh, they were comparing all these different versions of Batman, including Adam West, and they had a list where Adam West was at the top, then it was the Christian Bale, then it was, not George Clooney, what was it? Michael Keaton?
Yes.
And Lego Batman, and then Ben Affleck was at the bottom because of the movie, and Adam West said, who's Ben Affleck? And then
said, what's up Ben
Affleck?
Right.
And they're like, you never heard of him? No, what's that? And he never heard of him. He heard of Lego Batman. He was above Ben Affleck. That one just made me laugh. Oh my gosh.
And that was just hilarious. And then he was there at the house, and he was sitting on the couch, and it was like, and we kept saying, Adam West is in your house, and Sheldon was just like, oh.
And thank you for bringing Adam West. Hello, Adam West. He didn't go family or anything. He just said, hello, Adam West. Thank you for bringing him.
Oh, that was just awesome.
That was it.
That was just amazing. And again, that's something that you can watch over and over on that episode and have that as a memory and to love. One other place I want to mention that I just remember, he was on Futurama. And on Futurama, they always had the heads of the characters. And they always had these great appearances. Like one episode of Futurama had the entire cast, except for the one who plays Bones McCoy, of the original Star Trek, and they were heads that were appearing, and it was all the original actors doing the whole heads and they were talking, and it was wonderful. And they did the same thing with they did the same thing with Adam West. He was just a head in formaldehyde talking and making his appearance, and it was just,
oh my god,
those were just great ideas and great appearances. And you know that these people that are writing these episodes and putting them have love for these actors and love for these characters. And again, they made such an impression on them. And you have to think back to the 60s. And from what I understand in watching the biography, that there had never been another show like Batman 66 on TV before it came on. And it was in color, and it had taken these two characters that were DC favorites, long known and much loved characters, and put them in a show. And as a matter of fact, from what we understand in watching it, the Monsters was taken off TV and canceled because Batman 66 took over, and all the other shows got canceled because they couldn't keep up with the ratings. And it's just wonderful that this one-of-a-kind show, this history-making show, this one-of-a-kind show, had these two actors that were history-making and one-of-a-kind actors doing these one-of-a-kind portrayals. And let's not forget to mention also the gentleman that played the Alfred and the one that played his aunt, who never comes up in anything else but this show.
Right.
The entire cast of this show, including all the actors that appeared as villains, it made this show so great and so awesome that years later, I watched it, when I was a kid. You watched it, and this was like decades after the show had been on. So it's just wonderful that we have this legacy that we can keep going back and watching and watching and watching, and just really appreciate Adam West just being Adam West.
Right. And even when he wasn't in an episode, there's one last animation thing I want to mention, and I want to remind you of one thing from 66, and I think we've gone through everything. One would be Wander Over Yonder. Even though they didn't have Adam West on there, Craig McCracken just did an entire episode where it was like a Batman 66 episode. And Wander was trying to take down an old enemy that was like his show's version of the Joker. It was like Screwball Jones. And Sylvia was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? He had on a hat as a man and his blanket for a cape, and he had a deep voice like this. And he kept deciphering things like the original Batman. They had the old music on. And he had to defeat him with music. It was so funny. And then they top it off with ending it with Tom Kenny, like the narrator for Paprika. Once again, the day is saved thanks to Wander and Sylvia.
Yes, it was wonderful.
It was a great homage. And even though he wasn't in it, it was just a great whole parody of it. And I want you to talk about the last thing from Batman 66 when they had a crossover with the Green Hornet.
Yes, we had, of course, never seen these. Our Nana and uncles and great uncles had told us about, they used to watch the Green Hornet, and we'd never seen an episode. So a few years ago on Classics TV, they started showing marathons of these shows. So we got to see the Green Hornet. We weren't too crazy about it, but it doesn't matter. The man who played the Green Hornet. I think his name was Van Johnson. I hope that's his name. It wasn't Van Morrison. I think it was Van Johnson. And he was also a legend in history making, and unfortunately he was treated the same way. No one started showing the show or talking about him after that until he died, which is unfortunate, because he and Adam West and Burt Ward and all these people were on the same stations doing these superhero shows. Okay, so there was a crossover episode that we got to see where they went to Gotham City to help some woman. I can't remember what her name was. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think it's some heiress.
Yeah, she was an heiress, and her name might have been Spaghetti. I think it was her last name.
Or lasagna.
And they
both,
both Bruce Wayne and I don't remember the name of the civilian name for the Green Hornet, but both of them were trying to get her attention.
Yeah.
And just like Bruce Wayne was a multi-millionaire, so was the Green Hornet's alter ego, his regular civvy person.
Right.
And they were both, competing
Rivals.
for her. Right, rivals for her. And then when they got in their costumes and we were just like, oh, this is going to be so awesome. They're going to want to help each other. And they were rivaling still in the costumes.
Yeah.
I can do this, you can't. No, I don't need your help. No, I don't need your help. And they reluctantly joined forces for a short period of time because they didn't want to help each other.
Right, that was a shock, especially for a show like that. And it's look, we can sell this later. And the way they fight was different from how Batman fights, and that's kind of why they didn't want to deal with them. To them, it was unrighteous or something. And yeah, so they were always neck and neck, whether they were civilians or heroes.
Right.
And that's what kind of made it great.
And another thing to mention is any martial art lover know who Bruce Lee is. And Bruce Lee played Kato. And I'd never seen him. I'm still a Bruce Lee lover all these years after he's been gone. I learned about Bruce Lee from our Nana. But Bruce Lee played Kato. And mostly Kato did all the fighting for the Green Hornet. Whereas Robin and Batman will work together. Kato kicked butt. And kind of like this, cat daddy. And he was a cat daddy out of his costume. And he was a cat daddy in it. And he let Kato do all his fighting. We were like, boy, he doesn't do much of anything.
He lands a few good punches here and there.
Yeah, but Kato was the one who did all the butt kicking. But it was such a great episode. And honestly, it was probably the one that we really liked the most of that show. And we kind of stopped watching the Green Hornet after that. But it was, like you said, it was so memorable. And it was such a great thing to see these four actors. And Bruce Lee, oh my gosh, he's a legend still today. That you had these four people that were historic, making history. And doing something that never been done on TV during that time. And they're all legends. And they were all on the show at the same time. And I remember saying that must have been the greatest thing to see that show live when it came on, and seeing all four of these people appear on this one show. And then you had the villains who were also stars on top of that. And you had all these famous people on this one show doing it. That had to be the greatest thing in the world to be able to see live.
Right.
That just had to be so exciting. And people, waiting every week to see the same bat time, same bat station, the same bat channel. That had to be awesome to be able to see that. Adam West was this guy who had family values, and he loved his family, and he was a good guy, and he wasn't in the news and being a bad boy and doing all these things that got him in jail and everything. They really took the time during those years to make sure that the actors reflected the humanity and the values that those core characters had. It's a more innocent time, I guess I'm saying, that won't return. And Adam West reflected that, not only in his acting, but in his personality, in just being the man he was. He was just an incredible human being. An incredible actor. And
it's always an honor to have him live action or animated. Just for him to be there. He was DC Stan Lee. You got to have him in something superhero related or DC Comics related.
And, if the Academy was too short-sighted and disrespectful not to give you a memoriam and even include you in our small way, this is what we feel you deserved your own segment. You deserved to just be paid homage separately and just shown the love that you gave all of us, all the way from, the 60s to everyone to now. Thank you so much. Now you are being the Cape Crusader in heaven, and
the first Cape Angel.
We know it's got to be a whole lot of fun with you up there.
Right. That wraps things up for us.
Next week we will be covering Cartoon Saloon and 4 of their excellent movies that we absolutely love.
Yes, there's Santa's Apprentice, Secret of the Kells, Moon Man, and Song of the Sea, and then also a mention of the failed pilot, Eddie of the Realms Eternal.
Right. So join us if you're familiar with Cartoon Saloon. If you're not, learn some more about this incredible company that makes these wonderful movies that deserve much more publicity and promotion than they receive.
Right. Okay, I'm Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mama Entertainment.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.
At same bat time, same bat channel.
Flashing lights, trying to walk around, man, who the hell are you? What you wanna do? Well, man, it's on you. Man, it's on you. Met her in my dreams, she was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket, give it to you later on in the